Hello and welcome back to computer programming. So today we're going to look at the final of our three sorting algorithms. Not that these are the only three sorting algorithms that exist, but they're the three that we're going to kind of look at in this course. So again, at this point, most of this should be familiar. There's an extra video that sort of illustrates what's happening. There's the picture that just shows you the numbers in order. Again, not very useful. There's a lab document, and then there's the zip file. So again, if we get the zip file, you're basically going to find the same thing that you found in the other three. All right, there's going to be a bunch of downloads folder. There's going to be a bunch of arrays. Most of them are going to be commented out, but then there's going to be one that you can kind of use to test, and then it's going to show you your code, your numbers before the sort, and it's going to show you your numbers after the sort. So it's really the same exact thing that you've seen in the bubble sort and in the selection sort. Same setup, just different arrays with different numbers for different test cases. Again, there's the loop that prints them out. There's the second loop that prints them out. Your code's going to go right in here. All right, so right now it doesn't put them in order because there's no code. Your job is obviously going to be to put them in order. Okay. So what is the insertion sort? How does it work? All right, let's kind of go through the examples the way we've been doing it all before. All right, so the insertion sort is kind of based on this premise that you have a sorted portion of your list and an unsorted portion of your list. So at the very beginning, the leftmost number, which is always at location 0, is going to be considered sorted because it's the only number, and the rest of the list is going to be considered unsorted. All right. So what we do is we start by taking the first unsorted number, which in our case is at location 1, and storing it in sort of a temporary variable. We say, all right, this is the number that we're currently working with. And then we compare this number to the sorted list. And we say, all right, is 5 less than 23? All right. In this case, it's not. It's not. That's embarrassing. It is. All right. 5 is less than 23. So what that means is we're going to take this 23 and we're going to slide it one place over to the right. All right. Now notice I'm not flipping. I'm just taking that 23. I'm sliding, or really not even sliding. I'm just copying it over one spot to the right. So at this point, the number 5 has basically disappeared from my array. All right. And then I say, all right, is 5 less than the next number, or there are no numbers? Like, have we reached the end of the array? And in this case, we've reached the end of the array, which means there's only one place 5 can go, and that's at the very beginning. All right, so then 5 is going to get reinserted there, and I'm now going to say, oh, okay, this is now the sorted part of my array. I know those two numbers are in the right spot. All right, and then I start the process over. I look at the first unsorted number and copy it into my temporary variable. And then I start comparing, and I say, oh, is 50 less than 23? Right? This time it's not. So I don't have to do anything else. I know that 50 is already in the right spot. So this just becomes part of my sorted array. Now I go to this next number and I say, all right, -2, that goes down inside of my temporary variable. Is -2 less than 50? Yes, it is. So 50 gets copied over one spot to the right. And I say, is -2 less than 23? Yes, it is. So 23 gets copied one spot over to the right. Is -2 less than 5? Yes, it is. So 5 gets copied one spot over to the right. I've reached the end of the array. There's no place else for -2 to go. So it must go in here at the end. All right, and now I know that the first 4 numbers are sorted. All right, so now let's look at one where it doesn't end up at the end of the array. All right, so I look at the first unsorted number. It's a -1. All right, and then I say, all right, is -1 less than 50? It is, so copy 50 over. Is -1 less than 23? It is, so copy the 23 one spot over. Is -1 less than 5? It is, so copy the 5 one spot over. Is -1 less than -2? It is not. So now I know where to insert my number. My number goes right here. And the first 5 numbers are now sorted. All right, I'm to the last number now, so I can say, all right, that is my new temporary variable. Is 10 less than 50? It is, so I can copy the 51 over. Is 10 less than 23? It is, so I can copy the 23 one spot over. Is 10 less than 5? No, it is not. So I've reached the right location. I can just copy my 10 back into the array from my temporary variable. And now I've guaranteed that the whole array has been sorted. All right, so notice I still have an outer loop that's going to repeat the process over and over and over again. But this time, the inner loop doesn't have to go through the entire array. It just has to go through until it finds a number that is less than whatever's in my temporary variable. Once it finds a number that's less than my temporary variable, or I reach the end of the array, I know where I need to insert my number. All right, so it's a little more efficient than the first two because 1, we don't have to waste time flipping things. There's no flipping. And 2, we don't have to keep going through the array from start to finish, start to finish, start to finish, start to finish. We can just say, all right, we're going to start at this spot and we're going to work our way back until we find something that's smaller than our temp. Once we find that, we know where to insert it. All right, so this is going to be a little different because most of the other ones, you probably did it using 2 for loops. Right? You didn't have to, but for most of them, I'm guessing you used an outer for loop and an inner for loop, an outer for loop and an inner for loop. This one's still going to involve a nested loop structure, but the outer loop's going to be a for loop, and the inner loop is going to be a while loop. All right. You don't need to do anything with the first element because, again, that's part of our sorted array. So your loop will begin with x minus 1. And then make sure you say the value you're going to be inserting before you start shifting everything to the right. So kind of going back to our Excel here, let's kind of put those points into action. All right. So this is where we started. All right. We don't have to start at 0 because we assume that the first number is already started. We start at 1. All right. We start by taking that value and copying it into a temporary variable. All right. That's important because it's possible that it's going to get erased. All right. Then we check, is the number in this temporary variable less than anything to the left of it? All right. If it is, those numbers get shifted. And then we either reach the end or we reach a number that's less than this. So there goes the 5, and it gets inserted in. And this one's already in order, but let's sort of skip ahead to the -2 one. All right, we copy -2 into the temporary variable. We say, is it less than 50? It is. So it gets shifted. Notice the -2 is out of the array. That's why this temporary variable is important. Is -2 less than 23? It is. So this gets shifted. Is -2 less than 5? It is. So this gets shifted. And then we've reached the end of the array, so we know that -2 has to go right there. Right. And we keep working our way forward. And then there's the -1 situation where we say, all right, it is less than 50, so that gets shifted. It is less than 23, so that gets shifted. It is less than 5, so that gets shifted. It's not less than -2. All right, so our while loop can stop at this point. It doesn't need to go any further. And instead, we can just insert the -1 at that location. All right, now this one is trickier. All right, there's no doubt that this one is trickier. So I do expect that you're probably going to need to use these hints. This will show you how to set up the for loop. It'll give you some direction on the while loop, but it won't tell you exactly how it works. It'll show you how to set up the temp variable, and then it'll talk about the insertion that has to happen after your while loop has finished. All right, so again, I do expect this one to be a little trickier, so don't hesitate to use these hints. Try it at the start, see what you can come up with, but this is a trickier one to sort of visualize, so that's why the hints are there. There's a good chance that you're going to need them. But Other than that, same thing as always. Try to get it working. Try the different test cases to make sure that it works. You want to make sure that it doesn't mess up something that's already sorted. You want to make sure that it can do something that's like completely reversed. You want to make sure it can handle things where there's repeating numbers. All those kind of different test scenarios to make sure that it works correctly. All right, but that's it. Obviously, let me know if you have any questions, and best of luck. All right, bye.